Good day to everyone. We are now on the chapter 6, the essential of government leadership, understanding the basic. The communication commitments of a good leader. Communication is a key skill area for effective leaders. The ability to communicate well through a variety of mechanisms is part of the job. Communication, as we have seen over and over again, is a key skill area from effective leaders. The ability to communicate well through a variety of mechanisms is part of the job. This chapter identifies important areas of communication where good leaders make promises within themselves to keep on doing something consistently so that it becomes a natural and inherent part of the daily experience of working with that leader. Diagram 7. The communication commitments of a good leader. Communication commitment number 1. Expressing genuine gratitude and appreciation to colleagues and subordinates. Expressing gratitude and appreciation are part of valuing our team members. This demonstrates that we not only appreciate them but want to encourage them as well. It may seem rather surprising that this has been placed at the top of the wheel, but here is why. Appreciating, valuing, affirming, thanking, and encouraging colleagues and subordinates is harder than it looks as a daily practice. Not only that, it is strongly linked with the attributes of servant leadership, which is a natural fit for those in public service. What makes this so difficult? Why is it important that it becomes a daily commitment and not just an aspiration? The top answer is that we are human and innately inclined to think first about our own well-being, our own desires, our own goals and ambitions, and our own success. It is natural to pursue self-interest. It is much better harder to think first about the well-being of the team and how others are doing around us. This is where it serves as well to reflect deeply on what truly motivates us. Are we all about getting ahead at the expense of others? How do others see us in this regard? Do they wonder if we are one of those snake in suits who seem nice on the surface but really can't be trusted? Communication commitment number 2. Open, transparent communication. We have noted previously the importance of a leader having integrity that inspires trust in followers. Nothing reduces trust quicker than the sense of being lied to, deceived, or having been manipulated in some way. Good leaders are committed to communicating truthfully and honestly and with as much openness and transparency as we can be permitted considering the confidentiality requirements of the job. As we said earlier, knowledge is power. Furthermore, having and holding information puts a person in a position of power. For that reason, many leaders gather information with jealousy, even when they do not need to be so vigilant. Good leaders are wise about how they handle information and when they release it. They balance appropriate discretion with the realization that there is often benefit in empowering the group through sharing information. As modern business structures become flatter and less hierarchical, and collaboration and teamwork become more the norm. It challenges old paradigms about how we handle information and when we release it. Good leaders are prudent and wise in this regard, and they value openness and transparency. This is especially important in government settings, where there is the expectation of high accountability for how public resources are managed. Creating a culture of transparency. There are specific things leaders can do to operationalize their daily commitment to transparency and openness. Show others that you care. People thrive when personal connections are forged and maintained. Relationship building creates safety, understanding, appreciation, and reliability. When employees feel seen, heard, affirmed, and supported, they are more likely to be loyal and supportive of the leader. Be vulnerable. Most employees appreciate a leader who is genuine and authentic. Vulnerability demonstrates sincerity and builds credibility. It does require maturity and judgment on the part of the leader to assess what to share and how the employees will interpret and share it with others. One key area is to invite feedback on the leader's performance to discover how others perceive them. This demonstrates for employees that feedback is a powerful tool for improvement and for building a high performance team. Be firstly honest. Be more transparent, especially in how decisions are made. This helps reduce the sense that there are hidden agendas at play. If you do not have all the pieces in place or are waiting on more data to come in, just say so. Next, hold the tough conversation. Do not dance around performance issues. As already discussed, giving positive feedback and constructively critical feedback to promote improvement and growth is part of the leader's job. Employees need a workplace environment that does not tolerate bullying, uncivil interaction, unproductive gossiping, blaming of others, and negative behaviors that jeopardize the team's performance toward goals and objectives. A transparent leaders make sure that employees are clear that these tough conversations will happen when needed. Pay attention to the mood in the office. Listen, observe, and care about the experiences employees are within the workplace. Let employees know that you are paying attention to these factors and be mindful of your own moods as we mentioned before. Your own emotions can impact the team both positively and negatively. Keep your promises. This sets the tone for the entire organization and builds trust. Show up on time for meetings, return emails promptly, and follow up no requests you have made of employees. These are examples of little things that build trust for bigger things. Communicate your promises cleanly and clearly to avoid any misunderstandings. Be composed. Leaders with self control, poise, and patience minimize workplace anxiety and uncertainty. Employees are always watching their leaders, so stay strong and confident. Smile often and authentically, and be compassionate. This helps neutralize workplace chaos and create certainty that a confident, caring, fearless leader is in charge. Deliver bad news well. This demonstrates courage and shows you will do things for the good of the organization and the team. Bad news move fast, so address it promptly with employees. Say as much as you can without divulging confidential information and do not play the blame game. When employees voice concerns or appear upset, listen to them so they feel you are in it with them and not throwing a mess on them and walking away. Let them know what the steps are to correct a situation and communicate often where you are in the process of handling the situation. Communication commitment number 3. Accessible, easy communication systems. Building on the idea of openness and transparency, it is important for government leaders to advocate for technology and data systems that make it easy for the public to communicate and receive information from government offices. It is a common complaint that government websites and online application processes can be difficult to use, especially for those who, for a variety of reasons, may find online system challenging. Often those with personal challenges or vulnerabilities are those who need government help the most. Therefore, it is important that communication systems work well for people of all capabilities. In an age of automation, It can be frustrating for members of the public to face difficulties in trying to talk with someone, especially if there are complicated telephone menus, chronic busy signals, or long holding times. Communication commitment number 4: welcoming other perspectives through consultation and active listening. Active listening involves curiosity and openness to explore how other people see things. It involves showing empathy toward what they feel. It enables you to explore the deeper levels of needs, fears, interests, beliefs, and values, which are often not expressed until someone asks about them. It also involves moments of silence as you allow the other person to continue to sort out what they are thinking and feeling. While active listening can happen in one to one conversations or meetings, many levels of government and government departments are adopting active listening through larger processes of community engagement and consultation, realizing that it is vital for government to understand the issues and concerns of communities and individuals who live there. It is difficult to make significant decisions within a community without support and buy-in. Therefore, governments are increasingly appreciating that they need to solicit information from local stakeholders, individuals, community, groups, and others before becoming or making decisions that will affect the daily lives of their constituents. Communication commitment number 5: information sharing with stakeholders and being committed to building the necessary information systems to facilitate it. This commitment is strongly related to the previous commitment because it involves many of the same issues and values. Although they may be addressed through a different approach, stakeholders are a group of people with strong and particular interest in what the government is doing because it has an impact on their work, the clients they serve, or on their daily life. Stakeholders may be internal or external to government, but they are all affected in some way by the government's actions, objectives, products, services, or policies. While commitment number 5 and commitment number 4 are similar, stakeholder information sharing will often involve developing positive and formal relationships as well as more formalized processes of giving and receiving information. Good leadership in government promotes strong and healthy relationships with stakeholders. Deloitte and Touch recommend that organization formalize the implementation of a formal stakeholder engagement policy. Not only will this enhance the value of the stakeholder engagement process, but it will also reduce the risk of missing important perspective which may cause embarrassment or negatively affect the reputations of the government department in question. According to Deloitte and Touch, the stakeholder engagement process and policy approach usually involves the following: define the scope of the policy, define the ownership and decision-making process, define the governance process, identify the key stakeholders and stakeholder groups given their influence and dependence on the organization, develop an engagement plan including frequency, method, and channel, facilitate the stakeholder engagement process, identify the legitimate concerns and interests of key stakeholders, design a process for dealing with conflicts between stakeholders' concerns. Define a mechanism to feed stakeholder concerns into strategic planning to ensure alignment. Provide feedback to stakeholder groups. Generate reports including input for an integrated report for key stakeholders. Summary: communication commitments are embraced and practiced daily by good leaders, demonstrating their willingness to be open, transparent, and concerned about others. This expresses itself through caring behaviors such as active listening, encouraging, thinking, and praising others, inviting input, and building mechanisms and processes to ensure that information can flow easily to the people who need it. Communication commitments also ensure we are able to receive information from our stakeholders. Specifically, our communication commitments begin first with the daily practice of appreciating, acknowledging, and expressing gratitude to those around us and to those who work for us. This fosters a positive, encouraging work environment with more highly engaged employees. Our second commitment is to open, transparent communication with our teams and others, followed by a third commitment to open, accessible, and communication system for those inside and outside the organization. These are enhanced by our fourth commitment to active listening, to consultation, and to welcoming others' perspective. Commitment 4 is expressed in to one conversation and meetings and includes much larger consultation processes which demonstrate the value we place on hearing the perspective of others. Finally, Commitment 5 is targeted specifically toward information sharing with government stakeholders who are in a unique relationship with